in public schools. As of January 2021, the teacher shortage stood at a total 103,931 for both post-primary and primary education. We've had the Teachers Service Commission now say about 2,500 vacancies have been advertised, 6,000 more teachers deployed to schools across the country. But as an expert, has enough been done by the Teachers Service Commission to address the issue of teacher shortages in the country?
Thank you so much for the invite, Michelle. On the issue of teacher shortage is a big issue because we are having a lot of teachers across the country. Some are looking for jobs, and I think the government has not done enough to ensure in terms of employment because we are having a lot of teachers out there. You go, for example, I work with Cheryl's Children's Home, and in slum settlement, you find we get a lot of applications, people coming to apply for jobs, and it happens elsewhere. So what the government need to do, there are a lot of teachers out there who are looking for jobs, and some of them, you know, have resorted to even going to construction sites. And so the government need to give them opportunity. They need to advertise and give opportunity to all. There are a lot of teachers there still looking for jobs. And I think in such a way, we'll be able to bridge the gap that we are having. Because you are looking at a classroom that has 40 or 60 students, and this class is being attended by one teacher, compared to classrooms in private schools where children have like 20 children or 25 children are being attended to by one teacher. So this shows there is inequity, and therefore the government has to move with speed to ensure that they advertise more and more. Because we are looking at a case whereby the advertisements are done once a year or maybe twice a year. So the government need to expedite that and ensure that maybe the advertisements are done on timely basis, because we have many teachers out there looking for jobs.
Right, and it's a glaring breakdown with the teachers shortage and teachers on one hand saying they're looking for jobs. But where really is the problem? Because the Teachers Service Commission says they've endeavored to address this shortage by requesting for additional budgetary allocation for employment of new teachers. Is it an issue of the budgetary allocation that the Teachers Service Commission is getting from the ministry?
Is an issue of budgetary allocation, and if the government advertises for more posts, I know out there we have many teachers who are looking for jobs, and people will go for these jobs, and the inequity we are having in schools, we are going to ensure that at least children are being attended to very well. So it's just an issue of budgetary allocation, but I'm not buying an idea that teachers are not out there. We have many teachers who are out there looking for jobs. They have gone to schools, and some of them have resorted to even doing construction and other manual jobs because there are no jobs at all. We need to create more opportunities for them. And now with the curriculum and a lot of opportunities coming in, we need to bring in teachers and ensure that each and everyone has something to do. And I think in this manner, our children are going to be attended to in the right manner.
Right, and even as we discuss that, let's talk about the training and hiring qualifications for teachers. The Teachers Service Commission again changing or making radical changes to teachers' training and qualifications as well. And this has seen a debate really among the teachers' fraternity with, for example, those intending to teach in secondary schools being required to at least have a mean grade of C+ in their KCSE examination, those in the diploma primary school teachers and entry grade of C as well in KCSE. And many teachers say that this change in qualifications and the change in training also affects the number of promotions that teachers can get, and ultimately limits the number of teachers that can be churned out to schools each year.
There are different areas to consider. You're looking at teachers who are already in session. And this can be done in two ways. We have teachers who are already in session and teachers who are already in training. So for those that are, before they go for training, with them they'll be able to work well with that minimum requirement. But if we are looking at teachers who are already in session, what we need to do is to look at different ways to empower them, and this is through induction training. because they are already in the system, and we look at how can we be able to improve in terms of services delivery. And so what the government, I think, is doing together with the private sector, they are looking at coming up with an induction course whereby teachers will go for training at the end of every term. And this course, we are looking at, there are 6 modules. And these 6 modules will take them for, is more than 6 years when they are still in training. But they will still continue training, get more knowledge, they are acquainted with the new skills, so that they can be able to help children. But for those that they aspire, or those ones we can set for them a minimum grade of C+. But for the existing ones, it's just looking at ways to improve on their quality. And this is through induction training.
Right, right. And of course, I mean, it has been clear that this particular education year, this education calendar will be rather strenuous for both teachers and students as a whole. We have the national examinations just a few weeks away. Let's talk about the challenges that educators and teachers have faced, especially in the midst of the COVID-19 pandemic.
COVID-19, I think, hit school hard, and with children staying away for all that time, things were affected, children were affected in terms of education. Many teachers, again, those in private sector, lost jobs. And when we resumed, the government worked on a condensed calendar. This condensed calendar meant that teachers will go an extra mile. They'll have to work extra hard to ensure that they catch up with the lost time. And so we are looking at, even this year, we are having, each class has like 2 exams. So we are looking at 5 exams, 2 KCPE exams, we're looking at 2 KCSE exams, and also exam for grade 6 who are CBC candidates. And so this is a condensed calendar. So it's a bit hard for teachers, but teachers are managing. They are working extra hard. There are some that they ensure that even in the evening, they're having remedial classes. For example, us at Cheryl's Children's Home, you understand in children's home setup, things are very hard. You are depending on donors to support you with almost everything, the well-wishers coming on board. And so it was even hard for children. But what we managed to do is to go an extra mile, find laptops for children, and then introduce them to digital learning. And apart from that, we had a lot of channels, YouTube channels, that were able to teach them. This is what teachers are using even at this time to ensure that children have something extra and an extra exercise for them to grasp at home. So with this condensed calendar, it has been very hard for teachers, but teachers are trying extra hard just to ensure that in the evenings, some of them come even in the early morning, and they give children extra time. So this has trained teachers, and I think they need a lot of support from school, all the stakeholders, the Ministry of Education, and also parents and fellow teachers, because this one cannot be achieved alone. At least everyone has to come on board and support teachers, but it has been a very strenuous calendar, and in this manner, unless we support each other, it will be hard to achieve the objectives.
All right, and even as we talk about that and bring in the issue of equity, I mean, the question has been how many pupils and teachers across the country have been able to facilitate the online learning in the course of the COVID-19 pandemic and the time that students were out, especially for schools in remote and marginalized areas, for teachers working prone to violence-prone areas as well. Has there been that equity really in learning this year?
Sincerely speaking, there has not been equity, because you find like in slum settlement, you find not all schools can manage to buy laptops for children, and then some of them have no even space for computer labs. And apart from that, looking at children in upcountry, there are some that they experience power outage for more than 48 hours. And if you are having digital literacy classes, in this case, you are going to be disadvantaged. So sincerely speaking, children are disadvantaged, and mostly children in marginalized areas and those in upcountry, they are not at par with their counterparts in town. So what is needed to be done is the government has to move with speed to ensure that areas that have no electricity, at least solar panels can be connected. For the schools that are also, they are lacking space and other stuff, they can go ahead and get laptops. For schools in, for example, children home like ours, the government has to come in and support, because we are looking at government only working with supporting these public schools. But children are not only for private. Those children in private schools are not private. They are also public. And that's why in case something happens, the government is there to ask what went wrong. So the government does not need to concentrate mostly on children in public schools and provide all the resources. Also, those in private sector, they need all these things so that children can be at par with their counterparts in public schools. But what we need to do, and even mostly we have NGOs, we have Rotary clubs, they need to come up and team up with the children homes like us, schools in informal settlements, and support in ensuring that each and every child has equal access to education. And it's not just education, quality education.
When it comes to the issue of infrastructure and resources that teachers have to work with, there has been quite an issue there. The new curriculum, the CBC curriculum, now introducing junior secondary, and all secondary schools are now required to create space to host junior secondary schools. In terms of infrastructure, how practical is that move?
The government has started a project, I think, of construction of classrooms, and the other day I saw CS Magoha going around just to inspect, and I think the program is picking up well. However, they need, because of the population that we have, they need to double the number, because we are looking at these children transitioning to the next level. What is needed is to double. And then also there is a confusion. Will this be accommodated in primary schools, or is it going to be accommodated in secondary schools? So still there is that kind of discussion, but so far I think they are trying. And so, as I said previously, they need to support private sector, because still private sector, some of the children, all these children will not be accommodated in public schools. Some of them are going to be accommodated in private sector. And some of the schools in private sector, they have not started even working on the classrooms. So this means that children who are going to private schools, they will be disadvantaged in a way. So the government need to bring all the stakeholders, including the private sector, just to ensure that each and everyone is supported for these children. But I think from where I sit, I feel like they are doing well, and the government has started earlier. And what is needed to do is just to pump in more resources, and NGOs, Rotary Club, they need to support organizations of our kind, and even other public schools, to ensure that the space is enough. But also another big challenge is textbooks. Because this thing, we are having a lot of issues, and you've seen parents going to courts to stop the process, and this is because it was hurried. Like, most of the stakeholders were not involved. And this, again, replicates the same with textbooks. A lot of instructional materials are not prepared in time. You find schools are opening a week to, and that is when the textbooks are being dropped in schools. So this is a big challenge, and what the government need to do is just ensure that even the instructional materials are prepared in time. Like, by this time, people are supposed to be, the books are supposed to be out, and this will help children and teachers to plan better on their next phase of transition. But otherwise, things were hurried, and that's why we are having challenges here and there, people going to court. But it's high time we come together and just ensure that we work together as a team, because this is one of the best curriculum, Michelle, that we've ever had as a country. Apart from what we were doing as we used to 844 system, which was just a teacher and chalk. So we call it chalk teaching. And this one is, we are looking at CBC, which is more practical, is giving children an opportunity to exploit their potential. It's giving teachers to assess children in different areas. So we need to come together, we need to work together with the government, and the government need to involve all of us, because all of us are players in this, and we need to make decisions together.
Let's talk about the new teacher program, the teacher development program, the teacher training programs that teachers are expected to go through. It was a training program that was approved back in 2018 that had stalled because of a court issue. But we've seen several teachers decrying the fact that some are set to retire in perhaps 2 years, some set to retire in perhaps 1 year, but are still mandated or required to go through these different training modules for teachers to qualify for the CBC program as well. Has that been carried out in accordance to how it should be?
For example, at our school, we had some of the teachers. We had some of the teachers who have already gone for the training, and we also have some of the teachers out there. I think we also talked to friends, and we've seen this is already happening. And colleges and universities, they are ready to receive even teachers. So I think the government planned well, and this is happening. But the problem that we are having is proximity, because there are some people who are coming from up country, and as they come to this place, you find they are coming from far to come and just learn. So this has to be devolved in a way that in each county we have a teacher training college, or even devolve it further to each constituency, so that those teachers don't have to go far away. They can just continue with their induction training just at their constituency level. Because the time they take again to travel, going to different places, again they waste a lot of time going back, settling to help start helping children. It becomes a big issue. But trainings have started, and we've even at county and sub-county level, like for example us in Dagoretti, we've had a lot of sessions also conducted by Ministry of Education. And so the government is trying. What we need is just to do a lot and bring in a lot of experts to ensure that they are doing assessments, because we do trainings, and after trainings, what happens? So the government has to move in with speed and also ensure that they are doing regular assessment. It's not only training that is happening at the end of the term, but regular assessment, visiting schools to ensure that teachers are doing the right thing. Because another big challenge we have, even some of the trainers don't understand CBC well. And so you can imagine they are training teachers who are going to handle children. That means also children are not being handled in the right manner. So people need to be trained, and we do a lot of assessments. We do a lot of corrections here and there. I think we'll be able to achieve goals.
All right. And even as you speak of a teacher's shortage of, almost hundreds of thousands or 100,000 plus, I mean, we have so many teachers in Kenya who have been recorded as looking for jobs abroad. Is it because there is no employment opportunities in the country? Is it because of the working conditions in the country? What could be a reason to this?
A lot of contributing factors. We have working condition is a problem. But as I previously said, the government is not giving opportunity to employ more teachers. Teachers are out there, people are out there looking for jobs, but they're not getting these opportunities. And also another big issue, like now, for example, there are these criteria that teachers who are being employed, maybe you must have stayed out for this period of time. But you find, for example, let's say last year, maybe we had a cohort that was big, and therefore you find they are disadvantaged because opportunity is given to those that have been out there for a long time. And so to accommodate all this, the government has to increase in terms of numbers they are advertising to take up these jobs. And this will help in accommodating people who are outside. But apart from that, we also have, the government need to create a lot of opportunities. For example, if we are talking about technology, we want to train children on computer skills. We need to advertise such kind of jobs. Teachers who are out there will get jobs to come and train children on ICT. And in this case, we are going to address the issue of shortage, because we are also having issue of the subjects that have been introduced, like art and craft, music, agriculture, home science. Teachers who are out there, they will be very, very helpful to come and assist these children. So it's just a matter of the government extending in terms of the numbers they are advertising, and I think things will work out.
Right, and of course, in light of the national examinations set to come and the close proximity, I mean, the NEC this year will be hosting 2 batches of KCSE and KCP as well. How prepared is the teachers' fraternity for this?
Teachers have been working hard, and they were, because of condensed calendar, they were prepared psychologically, and what this meant is that they were able to prepare in advance that this is what is expected of you. And so this has been a big challenge with the teachers, but they have worked extra hard. As I said previously, we've had teachers who are going to school early in the morning just to help children in their weak areas. There are teachers who are still staying with children up to evening to still continue helping children. For our school, Cheryl's Children's Home and Learning Center, teachers have been very, very committed. And they come early in the morning. They are able to help children, even at home, give them a lot of homework to go and do with the parents. They have involved their parents and guardians in different areas. They are supposed to help them. So this has been an all-inclusive thing. If you are involving parents and guardians in this children learning and teachers are doing their work, I think it works well. But in terms of preparedness, I think most of schools are prepared, and I have no doubt that children will perform well.
All right, that is Bernard Wandara. He is an education expert speaking to us on the state of education in the country. A conversation that brings us to a close on Daily Brief today. Thank you for watching. My name is Michelle Ngele Odhiambo. Do stay with us. When we take a break, when we come back, all the latest making headlines on K24 Newscast. Good afternoon.